There we go. Thank you, Corinne. Good evening, team. I'm TJ Banasic. I'm a senior program manager at Microsoft with the Cloud and Enterprise Security Group. This evening, I'm talking about Azure Sentinel in Government Cloud. Azure Sentinel is a SIM product, cloud native, cloud born, that we're very proud of. It went GA last spring, and we've been making fantastic progress with Sentinel, not only in the commercial space, but also within the government and sovereign cloud regions. Looking at the world today, we know that a lot of things have changed over the last few months. If you would have told me last year that the majority of my life would be, going to school and shopping and checking out entertainment and working all within a single digital footprint of my home office, I think a lot of us would have found that hard to believe. And in the security community, that makes it hard for it to plan, hard for us to adapt. So the world today is changing, and the way we do security is more important now than it was, because we have larger digital footprints and we don't have the same types of resources that we had to be in perimeter-based corporate environments or government environments. We're now having to move into the digital domain with use cases like remote work with Windows Virtual Desktop, which we had an announcement for earlier, and a lot of that is changing the way that we do security. Several challenges and strategic opportunities. I think a lot of these are changes in the industry and maybe the attack profile and the opportunities that come to us around those changes. The first is within identity. 300% of attacks are geared towards identity. A lot of that will be through phishing, through social engineering, through drive-by downloads of malware designed to steal credentials. So as the attackers are targeting identity, we need to put in additional controls. We need to adopt zero trust based models to protect our identity, even more so as we're in the digital domain. Information is going to be your most valuable resource, especially in the government space. That's where we're targeted by the threat for information in spaces where knowledge is power. So applying data loss prevention with multiple technologies to look at how your most valuable information is accessed, is copied, is moved and migrated. Very important. Attackers are constantly evolving their techniques. So this is something that obviously is not new or unknown to us, but it's becoming more of an angle to where we can rely on. If an attacker is able to find a network in 30 seconds of executing script, I need my defenders to be able to respond to that. Obviously, that kind of timeline is really feasible at scale operators. So we need to think about how we can scale mission-based automation, take care of those, run through zero type incidents, and respond to them. Threat has the ability to compromise our networks. Most enterprises are reporting more than 60 security solutions. So that doesn't mean 60 vendors. That means an average of 60 solutions from multiple vendors. It's great to be security, to invest in security technologies from multiple ecosystems and Microsoft working with the community. The challenge is when you have many different security solutions with architecture. So not that that is right or wrong, but it requires more resources than personnel. We do have that data in numerous amount of systems. We have security operations and analyze that data. Security operations centers are where our cyber defenders are traditionally based within both on-premise and cloud-based networks. These are where our intake and monitoring incident responders or forensics or insider threat teams. That's the heart and soul of security within the majority of organizations. We talked about sophisticated threats and how that's changing. High volume of noisy alerts is something that that is definitely taking leaps and bounds within about the last 5 years. There was a point back in the 90s to where we had too little signal, to where we felt that we could pivot and detect on threats, but there was a known gap in not having enough signal. It's easily flip-flopped at this point to where you're working with millions of signals within a traditional government enterprise. How do you filter out the noise, sift through the false positives, and put your responders on that 5 to 10% of alerts that they truly care about? IT deployment and maintenance, when you've got your folks that are looking at those alerts, where do they have the time to keep up on IT deployment and maintenance? And that doesn't mean that it's not a very important thing to do, but you need to think about resourcing and manpower dedicated to that. For traditional SIM, you're going to have to invest in your logging collection platform, numerous indexers, headers, putting policy on top of that. It becomes significant to manage SIMs and security tools. So we need to think about how we can augment and share some of that responsibility within, CSP models and some of the things that we do well here at Microsoft. Rising infrastructure, that ties into the last one. Investing in infrastructure is expensive, especially when you do so over time. The technology that you invest in, within 3 to 5 years, it'll be outdated, and you're looking to recoup that investment. Cybersecurity skills are in short supply. A lot of the technologies that we develop at Microsoft are aligned to saving you as the customer's manpower, to try to augment that with AI, machine learning, and security orchestration and response technologies to take your responders and let them spend their time on that 5 to 10% of complex security events and things you investigate versus the tier 0 very common events that can be automated rapidly. A recent study by ESG magazine, 65% of international organizations reporting a cyber talent gap. I think that should say that 65% are being honest with that. The majority of organizations are happy finding any cyber. Lack of automation is challenging. A lot of times the security operations center is built and operated. The automation is limited from new developers, fresh that traditional knowledge sets, whatever code is, and it's hard to keep up the skill sets. And it's certainly a challenge that security tools can automation techniques. Too many disconnected products we talked about and complexity. Ideally, you have tightly coupled integrated products and allow you to benefits those types of architectures. We have experience in space or the second most attacked organization in the world, of course, the U.S. government. With that, we have incredibly Windows, Azure, Bing, Xbox, Apple, the entire portfolio. We're looking at 6.5 trillion events daily. All of those learnings are demonstrated in the Microsoft craft and integrated into our products as the customer community rebuild it. I think it's really shared information and security where when one customer gets hit, those signatures are ingested across our products very rapidly.
Sorry to interrupt. We're experiencing some technical difficulty right now with sound quality. So we asked the production team to do a quick reboot, take about 30 seconds. Interrupt the presentation. We'll take a quick reboot and we'll be right back.
Fantastic, back on track. Next, we're talking about the Microsoft Security Advantage. So we explored our attack surface and how we can drive that value back to you guys as consumers and partners. Within that, we're investing approximately $1 billion annually into cybersecurity, development of products, security research, so on and so forth. We currently have a team of 3,500 global security experts, many of those in security operations with products like Azure Sentinel. We're driving all of those learnings from products that we developed in-house for our own security operations and bringing those to the community. We talked about how we use the intelligent security graph to drive those signals. And the good thing about the ISG is even if you're not a customer, anybody can access that. We give that freely to the community, and that API is openly available. So the world of zero trust, this is the direction we're going. We're moving away from perimeter-based models to distributed, especially more so with the cloud networks and cloud-based with technologies like Teams for collaboration, virtual desktop, and the numerous other industry. Deperimeterized security using the control planes. We look at our major design data and infrastructure applications. I'm show you guys down the road how we can actually design these architectures within the requirements. The suite that we put together is just been rebranded Microsoft XDR, so that includes Azure Sentinel as the integration with Microsoft for endpoints, and security center. A lot of our other products are in there for what we call the Azure Power Play. When we put together Zero Trust solutions, there's a lot of different things that are going to come into play. This is especially interesting in the government space with the numerous signals that we talked about. So in the middle, we've got our security compliance policy engine. Within Azure, this is Azure Policy. We can apply things like blueprints to build automated compliance frameworks and so on and so forth. We're bringing together all these signals into a central point using Azure Sentinel as that single pane of glass. That doesn't mean there aren't other tools out there, but today the focus is Sentinel. These are the signals that will be ingested primarily for security. So we have Microsoft Azure Active Directory, Advanced Threat Protection to take care of your domain controllers, Defender for Endpoints is our EDR platform, Intune for IoT, Microsoft Information Protection for data loss prevention, and Cloud App Security. So this extends across those 6 pillars of Zero Trust. This includes on-premise. So if you have on-prem, hybrid, cloud-based, multi-cloud-based environments, we can centralize all that logging into a single point with Azure Sentinel. Also open to multi-cloud with direct connectors built for numerous other clouds, including AWS, GCP, and so on and so forth. Also the ability to police, maintain, and have visibility on cloud apps with MCAS regardless of where they live. So Azure Sentinel is our cloud-based SIEM for government. Happy to announce that Azure Sentinel is now generally available within all regions, including the government space at the multitude of GCC, regular, high, whichever cloud you live in. Sentinel is going to be there with GA offerings to support your mission sets. So some of the benefits is fully integrated security suite. So the different log sources that we put together and kind of outlined in that last slide, they're all going to be integrated into Sentinel. So out of the box, you don't have to think about how do I bring these in. The majority of connectors are going to be there, basically directly bolted into the suite. Microsoft log sources come free, which is a significant cost savings. Talked about cross-cloud availability. If you want to bring in your different logging from on-premise and also multi-cloud environments, you can use Sentinel to be that cloud-based SIEM. We've explored dual SIEM strategies within quite a few government customers, so always interested in how to do that. One of the benefits of using a cloud-based SIEM are going to be your cloud speed and scale. So if I invest in an on-prem SIEM and I put a certain amount of capability and infrastructure within that, if I need more, I need to buy more hardware. If there is a certain mission or business need for me to have more, say in the summer period, I buy that hardware and I live with it. With a cloud SIEM, you can scale up and down in capacity according to your mission and rapidly adjust those enterprise pricing models or capacity models. Native intelligence signals from Microsoft Intelligent Security Graph, also within the government space, very easy to bring in your custom feeds or subscription feeds. We've got built-in connectors for Stix Taxi, a lot of the common ingestion models for threat intelligence. Offsetting analyst time with automation is one of the better features of Azure Sentinel. We don't have different offerings for Sentinel. It's basically everything comes in a single package. So that includes Azure Playbooks, which is GUI-based automation. You don't need to know how to script or code. I'm personally terrible at it, but I can write Azure Playbooks all day to automate functions. If I see a phishing email, I can create an incident, blast my Teams channel to tell my responders what's going on, email my SOC manager to ask if this is a true or false positive, lock out the user account, quarantine the endpoint, resolve the tickets. So a limitless amount of automation. Several of those playbooks come built in, and the sky's the limit as far as government creativity and use cases for that technology. So using Sentinel in the government space is always interesting because we're aligning to your government compliance. NIST 853 Rev 4 is one of the more common ones in the government space, but we are the most compliant cloud and always interesting to work with customers for those use cases. The Zero Trust use case is emerging as a best practice that's becoming more and more common in the government space around Zero Trust and these work from home, remote work type environments. So what we do is align technologies like Sentinel to those requirements. In this graph right here, you can see TIC 3.0 is used as the base framework for Zero Trust. We crosswalk it to the NIST cybersecurity framework, to the NIST 853 framework, and then provide an alignment to Microsoft Native Control. These are the security operations crosswalks, so you can see how Azure Sentinel can enable your SecOps missions and your compliance across multiple frameworks. This is a question that comes up rather frequently in government deployments. What if I have multiple environments? What if I have some of my business that's operating in the commercial space, some of it in GCC regular, some of it in GCC high and different environments? Do I need to go and run 3 or 4 different Sentinel instances? No, you certainly don't. We have a technology called Azure Lighthouse. What Lighthouse does is it takes the central logging points and it aggregates them. So if you want to bring together multiple workspaces across different clouds, you can do that and basically use a single Sentinel instance. If you have a managed security service provider or a partner, you can use that to augment monitoring schemas as well. Sentinel is very flexible in deployment. It is run infrastructure as code. So if you want to build it in dev, transport it into test, and then deploy to prod in different environments, it does that rapidly. So traditional SIEMs is very difficult to lift and shift them like that. Sentinel is basically run as code in the cloud. So put your RBAC, your security controls on that, manage it as code and deploy it across different environments for your requirements. So the Sentinel architecture for Zero Trust, this is something that Sentinel's doing very well supporting in the government space. Remote work is something, as we said, was unexpected at the scale that we've had in COVID-19, and we're able to rapidly build up entire security architectures to support that. So we currently have the widest first-party security offering in the industry, covering the vast majority of security control requirements and use cases. We also integrate across the board with our security partners. Most of those, especially the larger players in the space, have Azure Marketplace offerings to where they can spin up pre-built appliances and drop them right into these architectures and ecosystems. So principles of Zero Trust are not a new thing. They go back to the Jericho Forum in 2004. Forrester was the first organization to really coin the term Zero Trust. In 2010, they put out a fantastic white paper. I'd encourage everybody to go and read that. John Kinderwach, one of the leading authors, talked about how perimeter-based models have struggled to where they're the metaphor of an M&M. We did everything we could to harden the network perimeter, hoping the attackers wouldn't get to the GUI center. And we know in today's remote work enabled environment that's not possible anymore. We use identity as the control plane and cloud-based architectures to support those requirements. So this is a controls mapping from TIC across NIST into Microsoft security products. So some of the places that Sentinel is going to support your operational use cases in these environments is being that single pane of glass to aggregate the logging across your entire cloud and multi-cloud environment. It becomes your central point for incident management if you choose to do that. If you choose to export it into something like a ServiceNow or an ITSM, very, very easy to do that. Workbooks provides visualization. They're a lot more common with security governance, risk and compliance folks, SOC dashboards, executive reporting. So we build those in. If you'd like to customize it, there's plenty of room for that. Incident response hunting is one of the more challenging things to do within SecOps. Junior analyst, it takes time to develop those into those roles. Generally, it's your tier 3 and your senior analysts who do hunting. We understand that's hard. We have built in the MITRE ATT&CK framework into our hunting blade of Sentinel. So that comes with upwards of 100 hunting-based queries around any phase of the MITRE ATT&CK framework that your government industries are interested in. The nice thing is you can fire off all 100 of those queries simultaneously and come back in a few seconds with results. So when you want to move from reactive to proactive, Sentinel does that and enables that. When you get into that proactive hunting space, every query can be modified with a playbook for automation. So look for bad when you see bad, respond to it in an automated fashion, elevate what you need to your security operations teams to get into that interesting space. Auditing and accounting, it is your central place. Log Analytics is that service that we have within Azure. So the majority of our security tools will sit on top of that. Sentinel is no different. So if you want to lift and shift Sentinel onto different Log Analytics workspaces, that can be done. If you want to bring in your Azure Security Center for hardening, your endpoint, you name it, you put all your logs into that central place. That is where you store it. And if you need to export in a dual SIM strategy, if you have additional tools downstream or compliance requirements for export, Log Analytics is going to be that point to where Sentinel can export your logs. Enterprise threat intelligence, we talked about, you get the intelligence security graph built into that product. Several visualizations and queries are also coming out of the box, teaching your teams how to work with that data and how to use it for best practice within your mission requirements. Dynamic threat discovery, several of our products do it, and you can aggregate that into Azure Sentinel, and it has its own built-in hunting capability. Situational awareness, you can have effective awareness across historical data sets, real-time, whatever your needs are, you're going to be able to enable that there. So this is just a sample of some of the TIC 3.0 architectures that we've been working on in the WVD remote work scenarios using Sentinel as that hallmark. If you have interest in these types of architectures or enabling them, certainly reach out to us in the Microsoft team. Always happy to work with you guys in the government community, understand your use cases, do things that haven't been done, and pioneer in security for best practice and government requirements. Start your Azure Sentinel trial. Very easy to do that. Log into your environment, especially in the Gov space, turn on that 30-day trial, get out of the box running with Sentinel and try it out for yourself. Always looking forward to hear from you guys and feedback. There's a link down there for the Sentinel user community. Feel free to post in there. Let us know what we're doing well. Let us know what you'd like to see in the future. And with that, we are right on time. So I'd like to introduce Steph Raymond. He is the Managing Director of Cloud Security Architecture Application Risk at Kuzara.